Sunday papers, forget about it. If I catch you watching anything that ain't the Sunday papers, I will blow your brains all over the walls, and your mother won't stop crying until the day she dies, and you ain't gonna have an open casket funeral. You stupid pigeon.
Clap, fella?
I'm gonna clap it in 5, 4, 3.
There it is, and I have to somehow clap with my 3, 2. There it is, the weirdest looking clap ever. All right, are you gonna
Read all about it? Read all about it. Hear ye, hear ye. Coming here from Spokane, Washington, and Nashville, Tennessee. It's Sunday Papers. Unbelievable. We're all around the country bringing you the flavors of you, the Americans.
I'm in beautiful Nashville. I'm loving it.
Holy shit.
Never been.
What's going on? So you went and saw Wheeler Walker Jr.? You flew in just to see Wheeler Walker Jr. do his show?
And to have a Seder dinner with his family tonight.
Wow. Does Wheeler Walker celebrate this?
Well, he's a man of the people.
Oh,
so
I see.
he's yeah. Get this. His album came out at midnight. Wheeler Walker Jr.'s album came out at midnight last night, East Coast time. It is #1 on iTunes.
No.
And there's Lin-Manuel Miranda with the soundtrack to Encanto at #4.
Wow. Wait a minute. So is that people buy albums?
You can buy the album on iTunes. Yeah, $7.99.
Why would anybody buy an album anymore?
I know, right? Because what, you're thinking memberships and stuff?
Yeah, I just assume everybody's got like Spotify or Pandora or something. I mean, that's what's the purpose of buying it?
I guess. I don't know the answer to any of these questions. Let me go to Apple
I'm not
Music.
trying to discourage people
available?
from doing it. I want to support our good friend Wheeler Walker Jr., but that is weird.
There it is. Yeah, it's on Apple Music. I mean, right out of the gate, track 1, Beaver Fever.
Fever.
And then Fucked by a Country Boy, which was every song. All right, so I'm in town because I saw him at the Ryman Theater last night. First of all, the Ryman Theater is unbelievable. You just feel it in there. And
Ryman Theater used to be the home of the Grand Ole Opry, right? The original home of it?
And before that, in the 1800s, a church. And,
wow, okay.
And then one of the guys inside told me a story, so I don't know if it's true, but I'll take his word for it, that it was part of the Grand Ole Opry from, I think, 40-something to 1970-something, and then abandoned because the Grand Ole Opry moved, and I should know the name, it's right here in Nashville, but their own home here in Nashville. And it was like abandoned, and then it was going to be demolished. And I mean, it's right in the middle of downtown, this church. And then it wasn't Emmylou Harris. I think it was Emmylou Harris, actually. It was Emmylou Harris then did a fundraiser, not for it though, but she did some concert there. And just that concert raised enough awareness that people are like, we have to save that place.
That's amazing. I think the same thing happened to the Apollo. I think it was going to go out of business, and then Tiffany Haddish came in and saved it.
Is that a joke?
It's a joke. No, I don't remember who did it, but I think it was like
well,
back
they found Tiffany Haddish sleeping in the Apollo, and then
what's that joke? What does that mean?
She famously slept in her car in Los Angeles.
Oh, right.
For a long time.
I just saw her guest hosting for Ellen DeGeneres this week on her show.
Ellen's not even doing every show with like 2 months left in her daytime career.
I think she's, I don't know what's the next step in Ellen DeGeneres' career?
I don't know. I mean, maybe being nice to people?
Could be.
She's looking for change.
Maybe being nice is not showing up to her own set and torturing her fucking employees for the day.
So the Ryman, okay, so it was this giant sing-along. Now, I am seated I mean, we went together as a family. I'm Ben's Wheeler Walker's family loves me. And so I walk in and I'm sitting next to Wheeler Walker Jr.'s mom. So sitting next to Wheeler's mom during the concert, because it is nothing if not a giant sing-along. And at one point, her mom and dad were like, honestly, we're the only people in this whole building that don't know all the words. And for good reason. So all of a sudden, anyway, there were just some that I'm like, I should remember this for the podcast tomorrow. But it's like, Better Off Beaten Off is one of the songs. And so the lyrics are, sick and tired of the same old lie, rather be unzipping my fly, pull my dick out and I start to cry, jacking off with tears in my eye. And so this is her son. And then Summers in Kentucky comes on, which is just a gorgeous song, objectively gorgeous. When he sent me the demo of that, and I was like, please, I go, I know you don't want to hear this. I go, just make it a little bit cleaner. I go, and if this was a clean song, #1 song on the country charts, it would be in movies. It's amazing. And I think you've heard it before, but it's like,
yeah, it's beautiful.
Anyway, sneaking out of my house, I was just 16, met you on a blah, 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 blah. We messed around till our feet got cold. Summers in Kentucky, they were hard to beat. And it's everyone singing along. And even as you hear it, you're like, God, you could see it in a soundtrack for a film. It's just so beautiful. Next line. And by the way, everyone's singing along. It gets to this line, and it's like the place gets turned to 11 on the volume with the sing-along. Used to press your pussy up against my mouth. Now you've had a couple of kids, and it's all stretched out. And I mean thunderous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sitting right next to his mom. Yeah, exactly.
And then,
but it was great. It was great. And,
good.
And the rhyming is unbelievable. I mean, I walked around for a long while looking at everything. And then there's a Neil Young little section where I didn't know this. Jonathan Demme shot Neil Young in there. And it's famous for its amazing sound also.
Wow. And then also exciting news, before you got on this Zoom call, you were on another Zoom call. What was that?
Yeah, from my hotel room
wait.
here.
No, first we should talk about that we both flew out at the same time. We both were flying out of LAX at the same time on Thursday. You want to walk us through your experience?
Okay, so because I have a titanium right hip, I have to go through the thing where you put your hands up and it scans you, the little room you go in. I can't go through the normal metal detector because it goes off and whatever. I don't know why they just can't pat me down. So anyway, I go through that thing. And it actually shows some things that they have to pat me down. So the guy goes, can you stand right here, sir, and put your hands up, and we got to pat your back down and your chest and everything. So all of a sudden he starts patting that. And then I feel these two hands on my ass. And I'm like, whoa, but it's not that far from where my hip is. So I'm like, I guess they're really, this is definitely the most thorough one, but I didn't blink. Also, I could feel how fucking loose and flabby my ass was. And I'm like, well, if I tightened up now, that would be too obvious. Because this guy was really getting in there. Like the thumb was going now towards my hole and it was like working its way in. So I didn't loosen it up. So I didn't tighten up. I'm like, fuck it, man. Yeah, search me. Fine. And then all of a sudden I hear like, dude, I turn around and it's you. And you're howling laughing.
Dude, I was squeezing your ass so fucking hard.
I know.
I was down in the crevice between your fucking taint strip and your asshole.
Because I was like,
and you didn't say anything.
No, I'm incredibly embarrassed because you saw I have zero boundaries.
You're just like an LA sheep. You think a guy from fucking Nashville would have put up with that at the airport?
But you have to understand, the other guy is going through my chest at the exact same time. Like, I can't believe you didn't get in trouble. You got down like on a knee, and fucking dug your hands into my ass.
And all the people that were waiting for their luggage were standing there staring at me going, what's this guy's doing?
And I just took it.
And you just took it like they double team you at TSA. Like two guys do one guy at once. That doesn't
I was hoping
happen.
it was a woman. Yeah. Which is not allowed. Turns out it was.
Oh, my God.
That was really funny. I mean, and the odds of us being at the exact same point in security at the exact same time.
And you not noticing me and me not noticing you until that moment where I'm literally standing next to you.
You're
and you had a
standing
mask
there
on.
with the maroon hoodie you're wearing right now.
That's right. And also, with the mask on, you dress very ordinary. You know, you're wearing jeans and a hoodie, and I can't fucking tell if it's you. And so I really hesitated because I was behind you, and I was 90% sure it was you, but I still committed. I was like, fuck it.
Imagine if it worked. You would not have lucked out with someone who took it like that. That's incredible.
All right, so
oh my God.
Tell us about your Zoom call from before this.
I think it's public news now, but I've been lucky enough. Oh, and someone wrote in some letter like, "What does Mike do exactly?" I don't talk about it a lot, and I haven't.
Right.
Truth be told, I also wasn't that busy the last 2 years, just developing stuff. But I hate talking about that because everyone's developing something. You know what I mean? But anyway, I got hired on a legit gig, getting paid, and it's a Netflix special. And it's going to be David Letterman. It's 6 shows. He's going to do a little stand-up at the top. I mean, I guess you could call it a monologue in a way, except it's not going to be topical. So it is more stand-up. And then he's going to bring out a young comic, and he's going to interview that comic for like 20 minutes. Anyway, 6 of these. I think it's part of the Netflix Comedy Festival. And so right before this, not that this is a letdown at all, but in the box where your face is was David Letterman.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I made him laugh really. I know I sound like a child now, but I kind of am. I made him laugh really hard at one point, but this was interesting. Okay. So he had a story. I don't want to say what it was, but he had a story about something that happened at home. And then I said, anyway, I said something like, at the end, I was like, oh, wait, did I say it was this? It was actually this, which is real. And he laughed really hard. He's like, well, now it's a story, like, and really gave me credit. And he laughed really hard. And that's, I mean, such a highlight for me. That's so great. And then there was even like another tag. So I was like, but still it was, whatever. And he laughed again. He's like, you see, this thing's writing itself. And I was kind of like, well, actually, no, I wrote it. I came up with both of those. So not writing itself. But I then thought, was that his gentle way of saying like, okay, you didn't have to tag a tag, like I didn't know. So I just, whatever, I just smiled like an idiot. But I thought that was really funny when he said, all right, yeah, look at this thing. It's writing itself now.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be fun, man. What an adventure. Doing a project with David Letterman. Holy shit.
And not only that, working, and I know you know him, with the great Mike Sweeney, who was, legendary head writer of Conan forever. But you knew him, and you introduced me to him. Not that we know each other, but back when he used to do stand-up in New York and was wildly impressive stand-up comedian.
He was one of the best comics in New York for decades. He used to host at the Comedy Cellar. He was like the in-house host most nights. And he was just always the funniest guy on the show. So great.
One of Dave's people on the call said that she saw him doing warm-up for Conan, because when he stopped doing clubs for 5 years, in addition to being one of the giant brains behind Conan O'Brien's show, he also then would just do 5 minutes of warm-up for the audience, kind of like you did at Ellen. And he's just, as you know, the most modest guy in the world. And I just wanted to be like, especially in front of Dave, be like, well, no, this guy's a stand-up monster. You should to think of him as a warm-up. Not that she was saying that. That was like when she saw him, but it hadn't been established how good he was at stand-up in the call.
He had this joke. He's like, I remember he was talking to this woman in the audience one night, and he said, so what's your ethnicity? And she said she's Persian. And he goes, "Oh, are you Persian? Oh, let me introduce you to my brother-in-law. He's from the Ottoman Empire. And this is my friend Ricky. He's from the Hittites." Just off the top of his head.
Oh, he's so fast and smart. He didn't remember this. I go, I saw you once, and like someone in the audience started yelling, and it was like kind of like a heckling thing. And anyway, you handled him, and then he said something, and I go, I'm not going to remember anything, but I do remember it was the structure of it was the guy did an abbreviation, and like maybe the initials or whatever, and he goes, that's actually not an abbreviation. It takes longer to say that or whatever. It was kind of like, when you say WW2,
yeah,
it's much shorter to say World War II.
Yeah.
And this one was more complex than that. And his mind just grabbed that and hammered the guy. And he was just so fast.
I think he might have a law degree or an MBA or something. He was from like an Ivy League school. He was very, very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, happy birthday. You had your birthday a few days ago.
Yeah.
It was a non-event. You are not a birthday guy. You're not a holiday guy. You just kind of blip over things.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. I kind of celebrated my birthday when we celebrated yours. How about that?
All right.
That was enough. That was enough for that week.
Fair enough. Well, I gotta get you a present.
You do not. This podcast is present enough.
I'm gonna get you the Wheeler Walker vinyl. I'm gonna get you the vinyl of his new album.
Wow, that can be done still, huh? I mean,
yes, I have the vinyl. I have his first album on vinyl in my office.
Wow.
Yeah.
People say this looks. On my other Zoom, people say that looked like an album, but it's not. It's just a piece of art. I'm staying in the Noel Hotel. It's really nice.
Nice. Did you get a good deal on it?
Not so much. Nothing to talk about on a podcast.
Yeah.
No special deal.
Yeah.
Other than my Amex deal, man.
Yeah. Usually, if you're working some kind of angle, you didn't use points.
No, I didn't use points. I got an okay flight on the way in here. But listen, last night the Walker Wheeler family took me out. I ate at the Palm.
Nice.
That was super nice.
Uh-huh.
Some guy with a giant cowboy hat paid for the whole thing. And then tonight I'm doing a Seder dinner. So it's all, and then the tickets at the Ryman, everything free. So a lot of perks. Are you going
to go to Graceland while you're in town?
No, I didn't. He got married at Graceland, but that's in Memphis.
Oh, that's Memphis. Okay.
I've
never been to Nashville.
I'm going to, I think there is the African American Museum, which more than 4 people have told me is a must visit. And then the Country Music Hall of Fame is really well done. And even though I am a fan of country music, they're like, you do not even have to be. It's like the history of American music.
I'm guessing those museums are on different parts of town.
They don't share the same building. No. They're working on that. It's getting closer. It used to be 3 blocks away. Now it's 2.
Yeah.
Charlie Pride is the bridge. That's the bridge.
So I am in Spokane, Washington, and yesterday, Chris Denman, I made a video on social media telling people I was in town. Denman posted it on the social media, and then he writes me, hey, that Tacoma video was really funny. So I'm on stage last night, and in this crowd, it was a huge crowd. They were awesome. It was no Ryman Auditorium, but it was my Ryman Auditorium. And I get like a half a standing ovation, and then I go, good night, Tacoma. And literally 90% of them immediately sat down and they started booing. So thanks to Chris Denman for fucking me.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And then, all right, let's
that
get
should
into
be your
it.
thing. That
What?
should be your thing. You should do that in every city.
Say the wrong city.
Yeah.
It seems like
Totally.
a funny thing, but people really get really offended by it.
Or mispronounce it or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
I send you a...
I used to
Go
say
ahead.
Spokane like a lot of people, but I found out it's Spokane.
I'm looking at the notes up top here. Yeah, I forgot also. Truly, I think the guy next to me on the airplane, I sent you a picture of the lower 3/4 of his, I didn't send his face, was homeless. I walk up. So, you walk down the row and you're like, oh, is anyone in my row? Or you're really hoping, and I think I can say this, but you're really hoping a abnormally large person, I always get the window seat because I'm almost always dehydrated. So I never have to get up. And which means I don't have to get up if other people have to get up. I am just there. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to watch a movie. And he was in the middle seat. And it looked like he was like he had just come in from camping, and then has a beat up blanket, a big full size blanket, and his pants are disgusting and dirty, and he's like, I don't know, he's like this white kid. I don't know how old. I can't even guess how old.
Well, you have the photos, so we're going to post it on the, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the picture that Mike sent me.
But it was wild. In other words, my brain couldn't do the math on a homeless person on an airplane.
Right.
And then, because all of a sudden I'm like, is this kind of like the subway where he just rides planes 24 hours? Maybe he doesn't get off. I don't know.
I mean, if you think about it, what's rent these days in a big city? You take that same amount of money, you fly to an airport until they tell you got to leave the airport, and then you go, no, I'm flying out, and you buy a ticket until you go to the next airport.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
yeah.
Who was it who was Doug Stanhope is so into having elite status on, I can't remember which airline he flies, but you have to fly a certain number of miles a year to have the status where you get first class every time. So
oh wow, okay.
It was the end of the calendar year, and he was like 20,000 miles short. And so he booked a flight to South Africa, Hong Kong. Look, and he flew around the world for 10 days. He was flying for 10 days straight to get his miles.
Oh, yeah. You could also buy them, or maybe not to get to that elite. They probably don't let you charge something on your credit card. Do you remember when airlines, we were in college, and I think they probably still do. I guess the listeners can chime in. There used to be a pass you could buy on an airline, and almost like a Eurail, but you could go around the world.
Yeah. As long as you stayed going in one direction, you could take as many flights as you wanted.
Right, in 4 weeks or whatever it was. I wonder if those are still around. That sounds great.
That sounds amazing. I've always pictured having a perfect year. If I hit the lottery, of just saying, I'm going to plan a year where I go to Mardi Gras in Brazil, and then I go to the World Series, and then I go to the Cannes Film Festival, and then I go and just pick events over an entire year, and just spend what I guess it would probably cost $10 million, more than $10 million.
And if you went alone, that would be a perfect year for your family too. It's almost like John Sorelli does that already, but it's with sporting events.
I know. Our friend John Sorelli,
it's countdown to the whatchamacallit, Churchill
Cup?
Downs, huh?
Oh, yeah.
To the Kentucky Derby, which they're even talking about in Nashville already. People are like, "Yeah, we're going up," because I was, a lot of these people are from Kentucky that I was out to dinner with.
Oh, it's tomorrow, or I should say, it's yesterday. We should say we're recording this. We're recording
first
this
week in
on
May.
Friday, April 15th. And wait, is it tax day?
Today is when we're recording this.
Tax day. Fuck.
File that extension.
Yeah, I did.
Right? Anyway, all right.
All right, let's get to some news, because I know you don't have a ton of time.
I also so next week I will load this document because you did all the work. I kind of haven't seen these stories yet, but let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's start off by giving a shout out to Michael Solomon for the theme song. Outstanding. Thank you so much. The logo this week is from Kyle Spencer. It's our show out on cassette, which is hilarious. And then corrections.
It's very good.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
For corrections, Kyle Leiden says that not really a correction so much as a public service announcement. Bed bugs are just as likely to hide inside a used bed frame as they would a mattress. I know this because I bought a bed frame once and awoke to a nightmare. That is a fucking nightmare. Bed bugs are no joke, man.
I remember Rabi got them in his house, and it was because he went on a work trip, and in the hotel they got on his suitcase. Right. And he brought them home, and then they had to heat up the home. Heat is what kills them. Did you know that? They seal your bedroom and then put a heat source in there and just crank it.
And then you put your clothes into the dryer for like twice the amount of time to kill everything in your clothes. I was doing a show. I was hosting this TV show for the Speed Channel. You know the Speed Channel.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were staying in this dingy hotel in Pennsylvania because it was like a road show. We were traveling around. And somebody on the crew got bed bugs in their room. And so we all had to throw out all of our clothes, all of our suitcases. They just demanded that. So
oh my God.
We went to the store and had to but we just bought all new shit.
That's perfect.
Brian Dougherty says, just a heads up, people in Lafayette, Louisiana pronounce it Lafitte.
Tacoma.
Pronounce it Lafayette, not Lafayette. Okay, well, speaking of which.
Lafayette.
I should announce Lafayette is canceled, as is New Orleans. These two dates, there was a
They took their pronunciation too seriously. Fuck them. You're out. You're out.
Jesus. They're canceled. What happened was there's a new owner, and there was some kind of booking problem, and I don't know. It's going to be rescheduled, so if you're planning on coming to the Howlin' Wolf in New Orleans or Club 337 in Lafayette in April 21st and 22nd, those will be moved. I'll announce the new dates. I am, however, still coming to Plainville, Mass, to the Plain Ridge Casino on April 23rd. Denver Comedy Works, April 28th through the 30th. Tacoma Comedy Club. I am actually going to be in Tacoma at the Comedy Club there, May 19th through 21. Irvine Improv, May 27th through 29. And Bakersfield at The Well on June 11th. All tickets at fitzdog.com.
Nice.
Hey, Mike, I'm fighting an ape, and he's got a baseball cap and a gold tooth. That's the dream I keep having. Yes. Because people won't shut up about NFTs, and I'm over it. It takes up all the headlines. It could be telling me about actual new things to invest in. Although through all the noise, I saw something that blew my mind.
Oh, what is that?
It was a startup that had just gotten valued at $1 billion that enables people to invest in real art, actual paintings like from masters like Picasso, Basquiat, Banksy. It's a platform called Masterworks. They buy paintings and offer their members the ability to purchase shares of them.
This sounds, actually, interrupting you legitimately, this sounds like a cool idea.
It's a great way to diversify your portfolio, and you can get in at a price that you can actually afford. We reached out to Masterworks, and now our listeners can get VIP access to skip their wait list. Just go to masterworks.io and use promo code PAPERS. Again, that's masterworks.io, promo code PAPERS. See important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.io/CD. Okay.
I am 100% checking that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good hedge for inflation also, because artwork goes up, and I assume NFTs go up as
It's been such an incredible investment. And then now, of course, people are looking for safe, refuge for their money. Like they're looking for places. Obviously real estate has been it, but now people are getting worried. Like now's not the time, many say, to get into real estate. So anyway, and the stock market is scary
You've
as
been
hell
saying
lately.
that for the last 12 years.
I have.
As you flush rent down the
and
toilet.
I've been wrong. It's unbelievable. But now, maybe
different.
I'm wrong again. But I mean, I just saw an article about all the scary ways people are trying to afford housing, like getting in the market now. New York Times maybe, and it was like some companies have popped up where then they almost don't really have ownership. Like they can live there and all that, but their name might not be on the deed. It's crazy. That's how desperate people are to get into places that they can't afford.
Well, Michel, vous avez besoin d'acheter une maison, s'il vous plaît. I just told you in French that you need to buy a house. And the reason I know how to say that is because I love Babbel. I have.
Is it going to be a Casa Roja? A red house?
Casa Roja.
Okay.
And are you going to be able to go to the baños in the Casa Roja?
Oh, I see. It has claro. It has dos baños.
For most of us learning a second language in high school, look, we all did it. We were forced to do it. We didn't enjoy it. And like a lot of things about school, I look back and I go, man, what would I give to spend my day reading Catcher in the Rye and then studying Chinese history and then learning a language and then going to a gym class? Fucking, do you think about school like, God, I wish I could do it all over again now?
No, of course. When I see my daughter picking out college courses, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to an expert and get and go to lectures
and just improve my mind. So anyway, Babbel is a language learning app. It's sold more than 10 million subscriptions, and it makes it a fun way to learn the language because you do it in bite-sized little chunks, 15-minute lessons, and you can learn from 14 different languages: Spanish, French, German, you name it. They've probably got it. So many ways to learn. They've got games, videos, stories, live classes. Comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee. They've also got speech recognition technology.
They wouldn't recognize
helps you improve
that.
your pronunciation and accent. Yeah. So get involved. Right now, save up to 60% off your subscription. Wow. When you go to babbel.com/papers. That's Babbel, BABBEL.com/papers for up to 60% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life.
Totally. Are you kidding me? It's too easy. And you can hear my Espanol is so good. Luckily, the house had dos baños. If it had 1 3/4 bathrooms, I wouldn't buy it because I don't know how to say that.
Right.
Yet.
I studied it for 4 years in high school and 2 years in college, and I feel like since I've been doing French on Babbel, I've actually retained more. A lot of it's coming back, but even the new stuff I'm learning, I'm really retaining.
Fantastic.
So, anyway, let's get to the front page. You got a newspaper there, Mike?
I got a little hospital. I got a little hotel sheet that says the little perks and where the bars are. Let's do it.
Extra! Extra! Read all about it! Extra!
Ted Cruz is in the news. He refused to answer when asked by a Yale student if he would fillet another man to end world hunger. He was posed the question as he visited the university to record a live episode of his podcast, Verdict. Ted Cruz has a fucking podcast?
Ted Cruz wouldn't blow a guy?
Assuming it would end global hunger, would you fillet another man? A student named Evan asked. Mr. Cruz dodged the question, throwing it back to conservative commentator Michael Knowles to answer, who said, I tell you, my friend, the ends do not justify the means. Absolutely, absolutely not. Are you kidding me?
What?
The ends don't justify the means? World hunger and sucking one dick?
Wait a minute. Wouldn't equally, if not more interesting question be, would you take your own life if it ended world hunger?
Right.
Like if I were in a philosophy class, I would expect that question, meaning this is going to test the greater good for the greater number, which is a giant philosophy that is that still remains in the top 5 answers of how should the world live. It is survived centuries. And so just blowing a guy.
So you would do it?
Yeah. I might do it if one person was hungry and it solved it.
I would do it if I was hungry, a nice thick protein shake. I'll take it.
Is the guy who I'm doing it to the starving man? Is he the one? Because then he's all set. He's going to get meals for life, and I blew him. Yeah,
I know. What a deal. It's like a good date. You get a meal and a blowjob.
Here's the funny thing. So we're squarely heterosexual, and on, let's say it is, a fluid spectrum. And so I would be incentivized to do it pretty well. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'd want it over pretty quickly.
Good point. You would play with the balls. You'd make eye contact.
All right, easy. Whoa, wait, whoa. Who said eye contact?
Wait, what if it was the guy on the plane?
You think that's what he wants? Also, by the way, look how presumptuous we are. Does this guy want it? Is he taking one for the world team also?
That's true. What about getting a blowjob and you have to come in the mouth of the guy that was sitting next to you on the plane in order to solve world hunger? But you have to keep your eyes open and look at him the entire time he's doing it.
And I assume because we're on a plane, he has to wear a mask during it, so that's not so bad.
He put that little pillow over his head. That little blanket.
His disgusting blanket. Listen, you're ending world hunger. Honestly, you end world hunger forever? What is there that you wouldn't do?
I think that we should pose this to the kind of celebrities that did the Ice Bucket Challenge and have them all do this, like the Ice Bucket Challenge.
But do you understand listen, if I were Cruz, I probably would have said, it seems like an inappropriate question. I don't know what the forum was. If they went into philosophy, maybe it was an appropriate question. But, what you're learning is that Ted Cruz won't do what hundreds of millions probably of people on the planet do for pleasure.
Right.
Like as a loving act. He won't do that to end world hunger.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you're like, oh, would you stick your head in an alligator's mouth? Like, it's like, will you do this thing that other people do for pleasure and for love?
Right.
I don't know.
Speaking of gay, a man's hospital visit took quite the turn when doctors discovered a 2-kilogram dumbbell inside his rectum. The 54-year-old man, and he had to be 54 because you're not getting a 2-kilogram dumbbell in a 22-year-old's asshole. It's too tight.
And by the way, when he wakes up in the hospital, he's like, is world hunger over? Because I did it.
The man complained of abdominal cramping and went to the hospital. An X-ray revealed he had the 20 centimeter in length and weighed 2 kilograms. I wonder if he was working his way up to 5 kilograms. Because weightlifting, you have to set goals.
All right. So you didn't do any translating. How long was it? 10 centimeters?
20 centimeters, which is not a bit. I think it's a very small weight. But it was shaped like...
Yeah.
But, it's a dumbbell. It's got the weights on the ends, so it's almost like a double-tip penis.
No, dude. It's 8 inches and over 4 pounds. And he didn't complain about that. He complained about abdominal pain.
Wow. Maybe he's an actor and he's trying to gain weight for a part.
So these 4-pound things. I broke his shoulder, so they're the very little dumbbells.
Yeah,
they're very little in terms of putting it in a grown man's hand and lifting it. They're very big doing what he did with it.
Yes. That's a fair amount of lube. That's a lot of lube.
Okay. Wow. All right. Where was this? I see he's
This
from
was in
Brazil. But it was in Brazil. All right.
Yeah. Speaking of trans, 2 female inmates at New Jersey's
Wait now. These are
all-women
just
prison
segues.
have both become pregnant after they had sex with transgender inmates. Prison officials say the sex was consensual in both instances. That's prison consensual. Last year, the facility began to house transgender inmates, including those who have yet to undergo gender reassignment surgery after a lawsuit brought by trans women and the ACLU. I thought they only did anal in prison. How are they getting pregnant?
Yeah, this is a little bit of a problem. All right, Chris just said my internet is choppy.
Okay.
So I just turned off my mail. I'm wondering what else I could do to improve it. Sorry to interrupt like this.
Well, you know.
Hopefully the audio's fine.
Well, let me just.
Maybe
here's the
I
thing.
got it.
So
Maybe
so if
I
get
personally got a little choppy because of the 4-pound, 10-inch barbell.
yeah.
I might have gotten a little thrown.
But the if I'm
all right,
going
we'll
to prison, if they tell me I'm going to prison for 10 years, and all I have to do is pretend I'm a woman, and now I can be in a women's prison for 10 years, and all I got to do is like Klinger in MASH or Tom Hanks in Bosom Buddies. All I got to do is don the outfit. Forget cigarettes and ramen noodles. The new prison contraband is going to be wigs and lipstick.
Well, are you saying you're speaking for yourself, but also if you're going to jail, like, so you get sentenced and you're going to be 8 to 10 years with no parole. Mr. Fitzsimmons, would you like to address the court in any way? Not really, Your Honor. I just want to say that as of right now, I identify as a woman.
Yep. That's it.
I did it. I respect the judge's decision and this court's decision and process. And also, I am Mrs. Fitzsimmons. And so you may want to consider that before you send me away.
Or I should say, ladies, Miss Fitzsimmons. I mean, think about how many horny women are in a women's prison. Because most women that are convicted of crimes, can I say this, tend to be a little bit more sexually active. Promiscuous. Is that fair to say they're risk takers?
No, of course not. But I like it. I go just run with it.
I think that the kind of women that get
I
into
mean, they
trouble
could be
get
violent
into trouble.
criminals. They could be mental. Huh?
Well, not all of them, but I'm just saying there's going to be a cache of women that are horny, like chicks that like to get fucked.
Well, let's not talk about what got them to prison and how that might be related to horniness. But once you're in there, doesn't everybody?
Yes. I
There's
mean,
no conjugal visits for the most part.
no, I mean, think about men. So the toughest men in the country go to prison, and they have sex with other men. That's how horny you get when you have nothing to do 24/7. And
right.
you're going to have sex with somebody.
And they don't view it as gay if they're on the giving end, I think of it.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah, come on. It's almost cliche at this point. You know that, right?
I don't know as much about life on the inside as you, but you're from Eastchester and I'm from Tarrytown.
I was scared straight, man. That worked for me. That definitely worked for me, although I did wind up in prison. Yeah, jail, not prison. I was in jail, and they're right. I was in jail just overnight. I was probably 7 hours, and I must have masturbated 11 times. You get horny in there. You're right. Your premise holds water.
Let's talk about Hitler. The Tennessee state senator.
This was unbelievable.
Frank Nicely on Wednesday used Adolf Hitler as an example of how the homeless can pull themselves up by their bootstraps and make something of themselves. He was debating a law about camping along the highway, and it being a $50 fine. Quote, I haven't given you all a history lesson in a while, and I want to give you a little history on homelessness. In 1910, Hitler decided to live on the streets for a while. So for 2 years, he practiced his oratory and body language and how to connect with citizens, and then went on to lead a life that got him in the history books.
What a success story.
I can remember seeing a photo of Hitler dressed kind of like a bum, and he was holding up a cardboard sign that says, "We'll commit genocide for food."
Who knows? The guy in the center seat next to me could be a future Hitler.
That's right.
I should have had a pep talk with him.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's
or maybe he could have charged the cockpit and drove our plane into a building, and he'd be in the history books.
That's right. This is the one time where you wish people hadn't said, "Hey, get a job."
I wonder, first of all, how accurate his history lesson that he gave us is. I mean, it is a little suspect that he said he chose to live on the street. He decided to live on the street for a while. I don't know if that, I mean, I did hear that while he was trying to become an artist, that he might have been broke. But this, by the way, just taking it on its face value, it might not even be correct, and it might be this giant distortion. Now let's get to why you would ever let that thought out of your mouth audibly.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And his name is Nicely.
When I read it, because I think I'm getting a little better at this, and I was probably wrong, but it's a good impulse and reaction. When I read it, I was like, whoa, what was happening on the floor that day? Like, in other words, was there unbelievably damaging evidence against Trump or against January 6th or against the other fellow, congressmen or senators or whatever who might have been getting in trouble because he pulled the giant, whoa, look over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Because that's what this smells like. It smells like a purposeful distraction because who could ever in their right mind say this out loud?
I know. It's like, well, the trains ran on time, so they did something right. It's like, yeah, they ran on time to the crematoriums.
So this guy probably lives right near where I'm sitting right now. He's a Tennessee state senator.
Right.
And I'm right in the thick of it. All right. I'll talk to Nashvillians about this tonight.
All right, let's get to some entertainment. Give us a crinkle there. Actor Cuba Gooding Jr. entered a plea of guilty on Wednesday to a misdemeanor charge of forcibly touching a woman at a New York City nightclub in 2018. He admitted kissing the woman and on the lips without her consent. He also admitted to 2 other incidents of non-consensual contact in 2018 and 19. Under terms of the plea agreement, he is to continue alcohol and behavior modification treatment for 6 months and have no new arrests. After that time, he can replead to harassment and have his case sealed.
Show me the jail time.
Manhattan, show me the titties. Manhattan prosecutors said that at least 30 women had come forward with accusations of unwanted touching by the Oscar-winning actor. Holy shit. If I was a woman, I would have an embargo on Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yes. Wow.
More like Cuba Batting Jr.
Is that what it is?
These are just jokes. These are just pure Lockhorn style punchline jokes.
Oh, I didn't see you wrote "Show me the titties." Sorry, I stepped on your joke.
Not at all. So,
luckily, I didn't step on the Cuba Gooding, Cuba Batting Jr.
But that's the amazing thing about Cuba Gooding is he wins an Oscar, and then like a lot of Oscar winners, his career just mysteriously shits the bed. I mean, he's had a few good things. The OJ thing was amazing, but that was 20 years after he won the Oscar. And
Chris just wrote in, when does he go on probation for radio? So I think that radio movie, which I never saw, but we wrote jokes about it at the time when I was in late night. I guess that was an abomination. So that might have knocked him down a few pegs after his Oscar.
It is amazing.
I think radio was after his Oscar.
But the same thing happened to Halle Berry. She won an Oscar, and then her career kind of shit the bed. It happened to Marissa Tomei.
Although I love Marissa Tomei. And, Halle Berry just directed a film, but I don't know. It's so hard. They always say, I think it was Bill Parcells was asked once, like, why do you think so few NFL teams repeat, the next year when, especially like, the 85 Bears are like, you're dominating. No one can touch you. What the hell changed in 12 months? And even when the team stay together, and he was like, you have to begin with, it is so hard to win it once.
Yeah.
Even if you are a dominating team, like without, going without injuries, whatever it is, but like, it's so hard to get that chemistry, get that drive, to get everybody on the same page. So I think it's so hard to win one Oscar. You know what I mean?
And it really comes down to your choices on your next projects, because if you choose you look at somebody like Tom Hanks or Denzel Washington or Julia Roberts, like they pick the right projects, and one bad project. You look at Nicolas Cage. You pick a couple bad ones, and all of a sudden you're like a joke. You go from, I don't know if he ever won an Oscar, but he's certainly capable of winning an Oscar. He's that good.
Chris is writing, you're telling me Cuba went wrong with Snow Dogs?
Was Zach in Snow Dogs?
I don't know.
I think
Zach
he was
in a snow one early on.
Chris is saying no, that was Out Cold. Okay.
Out Cold, right. Yeah. Zach was in that.
That's got to be the worst when you go on location in Alaska for 3 months to shoot in the snow, and then the movie sucks on top of it.
I know. And it definitely while filming, or you might have even known it when you read the script, but you're like, well, how much? Okay. Well, poor Will Smith, he picked his projects right. His next movie, listen, I know nothing about how good Emancipation is going to be, but from what I had heard, he stood to win 2 Oscars in a row.
Yep.
And I think that ship has sailed. I don't know.
Here's what I do know.
Technically, he could still win it. He's only banned from attending the Oscars. Those lame asses.
Right. So on the debut of The Kardashians on Hulu, Kim sees a meme on a video game touting a new KK sex tape. She says she's 99% sure there's no new footage from her encounter with Ray J, but there's a level of uncertainty. She says, what if I was fucking sleeping and he stuck a dildo up my ass? I don't know. Well,
that sounds specific.
Why is she fighting it? Isn't it literally what made her career? Would Martin Luther King take back his I Have a Dream speech? No. Would Picasso burn Woman of Algiers? Would Peter Frampton never play the kazoo while touring Indian casinos? No. That is your art. A dildo up your ass is your ode to joy.
Would Cuba batting Jr. take away radio? It's got him to where he is today. Wait a minute. All right. Well, first of all, a friend of mine is the executive producer of this show. And I could tell this smells just like exactly what it's resulted in here. People talking about it. It smells like a promotable detail. Like, is there any whispers of this rumor, or is it a made up rumor?
No, she was responding to KJ actually said something that got out. He was talking about promoting something else is coming from that. She sees
a meme on a video game. Yeah, I don't know.
But wait, first of all.
But boy, why did she get so specific with the details?
Well, especially like kind of selling yourself out. How wide is your asshole if you would sleep through a dildo and not wake up?
Also, his dick was just in there. Why wouldn't he put that back in?
Sure.
What's he getting out of putting a dildo up there?
He could put a 2 kilogram weight up there.
Maybe her point is maybe it's still up there.
Right.
She was asleep.
That's how her ass got so big. It's just filled with dildos and weights.
She can't shake that weight. Maybe it's a shake weight that's up there. Wow.
Here's a creepy story. Al Pacino, who is now 81.
We have no shortage of those. Hey, just for the record, this is what happens when Greg picks every story. To my huge discredit, I did no work, and next week I'm going to load it with stories because I really screwed you this time around. But this is what happens when you leave Greg to his own devices.
Oh, and this is me leaving.
2 things have gone up someone's ass. Hold on, let's review what's happened here today. 2 things have gone up someone's ass. Ted Cruz did not blow a guy. Trans women in jail fucking each other. The cleanest story is that Hitler was homeless. What else do we got? Cuba's grabbing titties. Okay, let's keep going. And now Kim's ass.
I left out for time Gary Coleman chasing Molly Shannon around a hotel room trying to molest her. I left that out.
Wow. I think she could take him, right? I mean,
she said that she didn't make a big deal out of it because he was so little. But he was like jumping up and down on the bed and like grabbing her leg and trying to keep her from leaving and throwing his arms around her and kissing her.
That's insulting that she doesn't give him the same sort of threat level as a larger person.
I know. Look at Hitler. Again, let's learn lessons from Hitler today.
Gary Coleman wants to be treated like everybody else. You should have called the police.
Yep. It would be funny if you call the police they show up with like little people police.
Well, that was in Jackass.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Or, I think, the TV show, I think they had the little people got in a fight and then all the little people came in to break it up.
Al Pacino, who's 81, was seen dining out with a woman 53 years his junior.
So far, it's not news.
Nor Al-Fala, 28. She comes from a wealthy Kuwaiti family. Previously, she dated Mick Jagger, 78, billionaire investor Nicholas Bergeron, 60, and has also been spotted out in Los Angeles with 91-year-old Clint Eastwood. I guess she likes the money, the limelight, the handicap parking.
She's good at using that pump that gets them manually at attention.
Oh yeah, there's some Viagra in her purse.
Here's the crazy thing about this story, and hopefully this doesn't seem sexist, but I think the ladies will agree. The weird thing about a 28-year-old woman who sounds like they might as well be in middle school to you and me, and I can't even imagine to an 81-year-old Pacino, a 70, and then a 91-year-old Clint Eastwood, forget it. But 28-year-old women start to feel old. Like 30 is a daunting threshold.
In LA.
I mean, I remember thinking, well, not only LA, we're forgetting what we used to think 30 as. And then I also remember when I turned 30, all you do is complain about what a hangover is now. Like, in other words, it changed from something you can shake off at 10 a.m. and that you really earned by drinking, 25 beers to like, I smelled a glass of wine and had a shot and I'm hungover. And then your body aches and injuries start. And I remember 30 was old. And and we're guys. So for women, the funny thing is there's dating some woman, but I guess she feels young as hell when she's around these guys.
But I mean, she's 28 now and she dated Jagger and these other guys previously. So she was in her mid-20s. So that shoots that theory down. She has been into old. She
might have had a very big month. What are you talking about?
Dude, did you see the episode of Louie where he's dating a girl who has an old guy fetish? And he's fucking her and she's going, tell me about retirement accounts. Tell me about your pill box. How many pills are in your pill box?
Yes.
It was so funny.
It was her fetish. See, a good Louie sex stories, everybody.
All right, so we're going to let's get a
But
crinkle
good
here.
for her, and she helps them. I'm sure she's the one that drives at night for them. It's great. It's a win-win.
It's amazing. Jesus Christ. I hope she gets pregnant with one of them. Let's go to sports.
You got it.
A woman attempted
What
to glue
did she
herself
stick inside her?
No, this is tame. I was actually
Okay.
watching this game. It was a Clippers game, and a woman tried to glue herself to the court.
Ooh, that was a
And-
big game. The Timberwolves, I think this is a play-in game for the playoffs. Excuse me, sports
Right.
fans, if I got that wrong. But I do know, because my buddy Craig Kilborn, who's a giant Timberwolves fan, it was a big win for the Timberwolves nation. Go ahead.
Although some people are saying that the Clippers threw that game because they still stay in the playoffs, but then they're matched up with a different team that they would have preferred to play. Paul Scheer had a whole theory about why they threw that game. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway, she glued herself down, and then she was protesting a global grassroots network of animal rights activists claim. Whatever. I guess this guy, Glenn Taylor, has an egg farm. The guy that owns the Timberwolves has an egg farm, and she was protesting it.
They're not free-range eggs?
Um,
What is the... okay.
I don't know.
Well, you should. Come on. She went through all that. We're doing a news story on it. You should give a shout-out to the cause.
I think just the opposite. I think when people do that
Oh.
shit, like on TV, they didn't say what she was protesting. And I think that they should not, because it's too easy. Like, what if I wanted to promote Sunday Papers, and I went and I glued my balls to the tennis court at Wimbledon one year?
Right. That would be disturbing on a lot of levels, but I guess I'd win. The podcast would get a lot of notoriety.
Yep.
But that would be for profit. And I guess it's a little different when you really are trying to protest something that will make everyone's lives better in their, this one was for eggs, I guess. You refuse to read the cause, so I don't know what it is.
Oh, no, here
But
it is. Chris Denman has just written down, I superglued down to the basketball court to bring attention to the mass killing of chickens at Glenn Taylor's factory farm. Okay.
What does she think a factory farm does? And there are very few chickens that live and they're not for human benefit,
Right.
Even if they're not killed, aren't they churning out eggs at an unnatural rate for us?
Yeah. And they also breed them so that their breasts are big, and they can't even walk. They fall over forward because the breasts are so large. Hey now.
Saw a couple of ladies like that on the street last night. They breed them like that in Nashville too.
Did you try to glue your hands to their tits to protest?
It was, hey, listen, it was purely protest. Purely protest. I said, listen, if I do this, it'll solve world hunger. So I'm going to do it.
All right. Let's go to, I don't even know what category this is. A dolphin stranded alive on a Texas beach died after a crowd harassed the animal and attempted to ride it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the dolphin washed up on shore at Quintana Beach, where beachgoers tried to swim with the animal and push it back to sea. She was ultimately stranded and was further harassed by a crowd of people on the beach, where she died before rescuers could arrive on the scene. So it was probably due to stress, they say.
Yay, Texas. Well,
Yay,
there was
Texas.
other news. There was another story where a dolphin attacked some worker, right? In an
I saw the
aquarium.
video of that. Yeah.
I think maybe they talk. These dolphins are very smart.
That's right. That's right.
There was a disturbance in the dolphin universe, and they could tell. Oh, that's so sad, man. That's a really sad story.
I know. And I saw a brain of, I was just at a natural history museum in Chicago, and they showed a brain of, I don't know if it was a dolphin or a porpoise, fucking big, like almost as big as a human brain. They're very intelligent animals.
Yeah, obviously. I think everybody knows that. And I thought, because you chose the stories this week, that some Texan dude tried to put his wiener in the blowhole. That's where I thought this was going.
Well, that would have made sense. That would have stuck with the theme of the day. But no, they just they just harassed them. I've never swam with the dolphins. I always found that to be kind of distasteful. Have you ever taken your girls to do that? That seems like something you would do.
No. Especially after seeing The Cove. I've never taken them to SeaWorld. I guess I did take them to San Diego Zoo when they were younger. But we did go to that resort in the Bahamas, the one with all the biggest like water park in the world. And they had rescued dolphins. So we did not swim with them or anything, but we learned about them. And then you put on a wetsuit and you walk into the water, and then the dolphins come around, but there's no riding it or any of that stuff. And I guess I'm justifying this and so did this place. What's the name of the big resort? You know, it's
in Florida?
No, in the Bahamas. It's in Nassau.
Oh,
it's
I know what
it's
you're talking about. Yeah.
Gigantic.
Something.
So
world.
Anyway, they really brag about how all these dolphins were rescued either from places like that. I think they also just had a couple in there they had a couple in there and one just had a baby. Sorry, that was rescued from Katrina, when Katrina maybe flooded a place that had dolphins. Anyway, whatever. That's a long way of saying I've almost did the guilty act of going swimming with the dolphins. Atlantis. Yes, it's Atlantis.
Right,
Thank you,
right.
Chris. So anyway, no, I don't really like that. And I remember like when I was on, it's funny, like when you go on, like, you don't know this, but like if you go on like dating websites, you actually see that pretty often. Like you not only are like, people fishing and all that, but you'll see them like swimming with dolphins and all that. And that could rule out a lot of people. I think it's a weird one to put on your profile.
Yeah. Stick to Machu Picchu.
Boy, Machu Picchu. If just the women on Bumble who are pictured there, it is overrun with single, desperate women. That's what Machu Picchu is.
Yeah, cut out the dating app and just fly to Machu Picchu. They're all standing there. And you'd probably approach one to be like, you'd probably approach one to be like, "Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Greg." She'd be like, "Excuse me, I'm taking my photo for Bumble."
Can you please, this toxic masculinity, I am trying to, this will go perfect either after or before my picture of me riding a dolphin. I can't tell.
All right, let's do some
also,
science.
Horses, going to the track or riding a horse. I wonder how that'll age, riding horses.
That's true.
I think we're not far away from passing judgment on people who ride horses.
When I was writing on Bill Maher's show, Christopher Reeve jumped a horse, fell, and got paralyzed. And Bill Maher went on his show the next night, and we begged him not to do this. And he goes, "I think Christopher Reeve got what he deserved. Anybody that sticks a bit in a horse's mouth, gets on their back, and kicks them, gets what they deserve." And I think the show was almost canceled over that. He was the most beloved human in America at that time. People love Christopher Reeve.
Well, you say he jumped a horse, but like he was a horse guy.
Yeah.
Tons of training. He was doing like steeplechase stuff.
Right.
Like he loved, that's the thing. He's a horse person. He loved them, but rode them. And obviously you have to break a horse's will in order to ride it. So whatever. And by the way, I'm not saying good or bad that we're going to pass judgment on people who ride horses, but I'm just wondering if that's going to become a thing.
Yeah.
I think.
All right,
Chris
let's
says
do some
no
science.
chance. Oh, science. The dolphin wasn't science? Okay.
A landmark academic study has suggested that surgeons will work faster and more accurately when AC/DC are played loud on the operating theater stereo. A study that came out of Heidelberg University suggested the speed and accuracy is improved. The study is called Effect of Genre and Amplitude of Music During Laparoscopic Surgery. And the comparison was carried out by playing the Beatles and AC/DC during the surgery, a procedure which narrows tubes into the abdomen, whatever. I mean, fuck yeah, everything is better with AC/DC playing.
Yeah, there's that meme going around with like even AC/DC can make this shit look good. And they play the beginning of Highway to Hell, which is not a good, like the part they got isn't great. I mean, there are 12 other AC/DC songs that could make anything look amazing.
Yes.
But this is, are they doing that duck walk, Angus's duck walk, that exaggerated shuffle he does while they're performing surgery?
No,
Headbanging?
Surgeons are famously narcissistic, like A-type alphas. And I mean, the lyrics, Hell's Bells, I'm a rolling thunder, a pouring rain. I'm coming on like a hurricane. My lightning's flashing across the sky. You're only young, but you're going to die. I won't take no prisoners, won't spare no lives. Nobody's putting up a fight. I got my bell. I'm going to take you to hell. I'm going to get you. Satan's getting you.
He's doing the Lord's work, this doctor.
Is there more badass lyrics?
First of all, if I'm going under and it's like count backwards from 10, I want to hear the beginning of Hell's Bells.
Yeah.
Like I do. Yes, fucking let's do this. Crank AC/DC and take care of me. I'll see you in about 45 minutes. What I don't want to hear as I'm going under is all of a sudden 9 Inch Nails comes on. No, don't. I'm not coming out of this alive if that's playing.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to hear any Nirvana.
But party music, let's get it going. And also, I'm subconsciously and unconsciously going to hear this tune, and it means that my blood's going to be going, man. It's going to be great.
Yep. And then,
I love it.
All right, let's do this day in history.
Yeah. Here we go.
April 17th, 1961, the Bay of Pigs invasion begins. A CIA-financed and trained group of Cuban refugees lands in Cuba and attempts to topple the communist government of Fidel Castro. The attack was an utter failure. Castro had been a concern to U.S. policymakers since he seized power in Cuba in the revolution in 1959. Castro attacks on U.S. companies. This is what happens, is America was in Cuba, and it was a complete imperialist regime. We had taken over all the sugar cane. We had taken over the fruit, and we were using the Cubans as fucking slaves in their own country. And Castro, you can blast Castro all you want, but this was a legitimate anti-American sentiment. He was trying to get them the fuck out.
Right.
So anyway, they, and now I'm going to get so much hate mail about how Cuba's a bad guy. Cuba's a bad guy, but guess what? They've got a health coverage in Cuba.
I'm trying to look up the quote. I'm trying to look up the quote from one of my favorite movies of all time, which is the In-Laws, the original In-Laws.
Yeah.
So he sends Shell, the dentist, up to his office because he can't go up there, and he's in the CIA. And on the wall, there's a picture of Kennedy. And I'm not going to get this part right, but it was an autographed picture from Kennedy, and it said something like, "We almost did it. Love John," or whatever. So he gets back down, and they're in the coffee shop, and Shell asks Vince, he's like, "What was that?" He's like, "Oh, that? Yeah, that was the Bay of Pigs." He's like, "You were involved in the Bay of Pigs?" And Peter Falk goes, "Involved? It was my idea."
Yeah, so
it is so funny.
So this was.
So for the longest while, that was the go-to. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, that was the go-to example if you needed a giant fail. That was the biggest fail in American history. I'd say. That was the go-to.
It was the biggest known fail. The CIA was involved in so many lies. There is a book about the CIA called it's about hitmen, right? Or something like money. Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Yes.
And there's also one called Shadow of Ashes. And I mean, we were involved in the attempted overthrow of so many countries, from Indonesia to Nicaragua. And I mean, we failed on every fucking count. And it was all shadow money. It was all untraceable cash. It was all kickbacks. It was all, it's unbelievable. It was just this one people knew about. And it was, and we fucking left them out to dry.
Crazy. No, I know. God, I remember reading one chapter in there.
What's amazing is that Kennedy rebounded from that, with the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right. No, I know, I just read about that recently, and it was crazy game of chess. But there was also, I read about it because they were talking about comparing it to Ukraine now and what Biden might have been doing. And now some things have been revealed that weren't revealed for decades about back channel talks, like off the record, Kennedy saying to Khrushchev, like, listen, if you back out of this thing, whatever, we'll give you this. Yeah. Like, in other words, and the public couldn't know about it. It would seem weak. It would seem like a give that we shouldn't. Now you're essentially negotiating with terrorist type of feel to it. And they're like, but it was very diplomatic. And that's what averted a world war.
Right. So it wasn't the image that we got. By the way, I'm listening to an audiobook now about Kennedy. What's the name of it? And I'm kind of a Kennedy fanatic. I've read a million fucking books about John F. Kennedy and the Kennedy family. And this one talks about, in more detail than I'd ever heard before, this one is called An Unfinished Life by Robert Dallek. When he had the PT-109, that was the book that was the boat that he commandeered.
Yeah.
People don't understand how bad his fucking back was. He had his cartilage in his spine was like atrophied, and he had a crushed fucking C3. And this dude was in the middle of the fucking ocean. His boat got split in half by a Japanese warship, and they swam to shore, and then he swam back out. It was a 5-mile swim to get to shore. He did it with, and then he went and he saved a guy. He had his a leash in his mouth that he swam for 5 hours with a guy attached to him that was injured that he dragged through the water. He then went back out the next night into the channel to try to flag down help. A 2-hour swim out, a 2-hour swim back. This is with a back that was in wrenching pain. And it's fucking insane.
And we think this is all true. Like, his dad didn't engineer this.
No. This is absolutely
career?
True. This is 100% true. I've read about it in multiple books, and it's all corroborated. I mean, there were 11 guys that survived with him on the PT boat, and they all document what happened.
No wonder he got so much pussy. Imagine if you had that story in your back pocket, and
then
throw in you're the leader of the free world, and you're handsome.
Right. That's no Gary Coleman, folks. This is a hero.
Molly Shannon would not have been running away. Yeah.
All right, it's time for some letters to the editor.
Oh, yes. There we go.
Matthew Tronchiletti, who's a friend of the show, says that during Jeremy Lin's meteoric Linsanity run in New York, I don't know if people remember that.
I remember
that was
it.
probably, that was like 10 years ago?
I don't know. He was out of Harvard, that kid.
The Knicks reported a dramatic increase in ticket sales to visitors from Beijing, which was weird for New Yorkers because usually they're accustomed to a lot of MSG in their Chinese.
Hey now. He actually wrote, hey now.
That's a good joke. I don't know if that was a joke or if he thought of that, but that's very funny.
Yeah, there you go.
Keel Kennedy. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah.
Was just listening to the podcast and the Beach Life Festival, which is what's the band that's playing the Beach Life Festival? The J-Rad.
No, Keel, of course. No, dude, this guy's he's an amazing improv actor. And do you know Patty Guggenheim?
No.
You probably do. She's an old friend of mine. We met on the David Spade show, and she's a groundling. They're both groundlings, and they're incredibly funny, and they're great. So he wrote in. I'm honored that they listen to the podcast.
So he wrote in and he said, Patty Guggenheim and I would love to meet up. We both know Gibbons, her more so than me. I only met him once, but I'm a big fan of you both. Let me know if it's happening. So let's make some plans. People, we've gotten a lot of emails. Another guy wrote in, Quinn Kenning is excited to go to the J-Rad. He's going on about how great they are. Love
it. They'd be really fun. They'd also be really fun to go with.
Is she related to the Guggenheim Museum or Davis Guggenheim?
She is. Oh, she is.
Wow, nice.
And her family was, she's from Indianapolis. And so that's where they were. The Guggenheims are scattered all over the place. So her Guggenheim clan is in Indianapolis. She has a brother too, Michael, I think his name is.
Because there's the Davis Guggenheim, who I know, who's a documentary director, is I think not related to the Guggenheims.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. So here's the letter.
That's wild that all right.
Here's the letter you referenced before. Ika Rewitz said, I'm pretty sure I have listened to every episode of Sunday Papers, and I realized that I have no idea what Mike does for a living to support himself and his two daughters. What does Mike do currently? Near as I can tell, Mike, 1, does stand up one night a year. 2, has written on sitcoms in the past. 3, worked on the Ellen DeGeneres Show a long time ago. I know that sometimes
Can you retire after those 3?
Does that mean Mike has been working on a secret project for 2 years now? We hear about you, Greg, traveling for stand-up throughout the year, but what is Mike currently doing? I hope this comes across in the tone that is intended, joking and not criticizing. I really enjoy your podcast. I'm just curious about what Mike does. Thanks.
Perfect. I don't know. I thought people knew. I kept busy over the year. I created a sitcom. I don't know. I mean, you can go to IMDb. That lists my credits. I haven't been there in forever. I don't want to go there because it's definitely slowed down. But I told you the current project I'm working on.
Well, and you also had a big project this past summer. I'm not going to say who was involved, but there was a big name involved, and there was a shoot scheduled, hotels booked, production team hired. And then the night before you were leaving for the gig, which would have been like a 3-month gig, the Star just shit-canned it because they felt like they didn't want to do it.
It was going to be between a 5 and 6 month gig total. And we had the hotel room. It was, I'd say 22 or 3 of us flying to Martha's Vineyard. So in summer. So we had gone through all of that, and the estimate was $600,000 was burned. So that was fun. Yeah. But I did work on that for a while. But boy, I wish I could point to it and tell you, hey, go watch this thing I worked so hard on. But that is not going to happen. It would actually be airing right around now. I think it was going to be airing in March or April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about this business is when you're a writer, producer, there are so many things. And I mean, we work in TV, which is nothing compared to movies in terms of how slow and how bad the turnaround is. And we both know feature writers that have worked on films that have been 7 to 10 years in the developing before it's ever shot, if it's shot at all. I have friends that live in $3 million houses in Venice that are feature writers, write movies, that have never had their name scroll across the screen. They worked on other people's films. They got a big name for themselves. They have scripts commissioned. They write them. They get turned around. They don't get produced. People make a very good living not getting things done in this town as well.
Having done a pilot, 2 pilots that were shot for CBS, and then one went to air. That process alone is so backwards, because one thing that happens is America has this dumb pilot system, which thankfully is fading away with these disruptors like Netflix and Amazon and Hulu, because they're not doing the old school dumb model of this pilot season. Pilot season is basically this. I'll try to keep it brief. Everybody who has written these scripts, if they sell, if your script is like, okay, we want to make a pilot, they announce, and this is ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, they basically announce it the same week. So it's like, everybody go, try to cast your thing now. And everybody's trying to cast the same people, and it's impossible. And casting can make or break. In fact, my first one, we made a pilot. James Burrows, who's the Steven Spielberg of multicam sitcoms, he directed it, and it tested really well. I'm not tooting my own horn, but the answer given to me was, yeah, you just didn't have a star. You didn't have the casting. And then the second show, which I actually don't think was
is that the one
as
with
good
Gary
as my
Coleman?
first one. No, it was Cuba Gooding and Hitler. And so the second one, which may not even been as good, well, we got casting, and guess what? That one went to air. And it's because I got lucky. We got Joel McHale. CBS really wanted Joel McHale. And that means 7 other projects didn't get Joel McHale because I got him.
Right.
Meanwhile, 2 months later, heavy odds are Joel McHale's going to be unemployed because the pilot didn't get picked up. But now he can't jump to the other ones because they've already been passed on or they weren't picked up at all. It's such a dumb system. So anyway, getting back to your point, I can't even believe a single movie is made because the amount of coordination of getting your cast. Do they have conflicts with other projects? Are they on exclusive holding contracts?
And then financing.
Films, I honestly don't even know how any film is made. I
mean,
really
I don't know. I have so many friends that make films, and everything is set, locations, cast, contracts, and then the financing just goes away. It just fucking goes away. It's crazy.
Or it has to. You know what? Oh my God, we didn't get the visas, and so it's just going to be delayed 3 weeks. Sorry, Pacino's out.
Yep.
Like that happens constantly.
Right.
Sorry, you guys bought this window for him, and that window now is, you can't start 3 weeks later. He's unavailable.
Yeah. All right, let's do some obituaries.
All right. Well, we just talked about a lot of dead projects.
And that's all, folks.
All right, this is a heavy one. I think you guys know who we're going to talk about. Gilbert Godfrey, who was just, in a year where we've lost a lot of stellar talent, this guy is up among them, in terms of being an original voice, a guy who really was committed to the purest form of comedy, which is what did he think in his wild imagination and his intelligence was funny, what made him laugh, and he put that out there unsparingly and courageously. And he had his fans and he had his detractors, but in my book, he was as good as any comic that's ever done it.
David Letterman brought him up on the Zoom today.
Oh, really?
He was one of Dave's favorites, and he was also talking about what material he might do. And one was about his imminent demise, maybe he has old man jokes about himself. And he's like, it's almost too real now because we're losing so many comedians that me even joking about dying, it's just another comedian. He's like, our industry, he's like, I might want to stay away from that for right now.
There was this very sad photo that somebody posted online, and it was a restaurant with a table, and it looked like 4 guys having a great meal together. And it was Jeff Ross with Norm Macdonald, Bob Saget, and Gilbert Godfrey. And it just hit me in the chest. It was like, wow.
It hit me, too, that Jeff was slowly poisoning all of them.
Yeah, it was really sad, you know. And I talked to, or I texted with Attell last night. He just went to the funeral. He said it was very heavy, but it was extremely funny. I would have loved to be at that. Jesus, I can't imagine who got up and talked at that. But
so Wheeler Walker Jr.'s mom last night showed me a text because they wrote their son and said, "Sorry about Gilbert. We know you really liked him," and so Wheeler, Ben Hoffman wrote them back and said, he goes, I wrote on the Roseanne roast, and I tried so hard. Like, I wrote stuff for Gilbert, but he didn't do any of my jokes. But he by the way, go to YouTube and watch his roast of Roseanne and his roast of Joan Rivers. They are these beautifully written, and I think Mike Ferrucci and Ray James had a big hand in crafting them. But he does these stories, very unroast-like stories about the women that are so imaginative and wildly absurd, but they're kind of a must visit.
Well, and he
anyway,
oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to finish up that Ben wrote his parents back and said, at the end of the roast, he went up to Gilbert, and he was like kind of scared because Gilbert really was kind of one of his comedy heroes. And he just goes, "Hey, listen, I just want to say I was a writer on this roast, and really my takeaway from this is just, that I wrote, even, I don't think you did any of them, but just that I could write jokes for you is one of the honors of my life." And it was a very serious, and I'm sure Ben, knowing, was very jittery and nervous doing it. And without missing a beat, Gilbert goes, "I told him not to show me any of your jokes." Nice to meet you, kid.
That's great. That's amazing. Yeah, he was a character. I mean, he lived at home with his mother into his 40s, I think. And and he was just such a child, and he was so fucking cheap. I went out to eat with him at least 3 or 4 times with, a couple other people. Would never put in money for the check. Famously cheap. You always had to pick up the check when you ate with him.
That's right.
And
that's right.
And so I did a podcast with him. I don't know how long ago it was. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago. So I posted that this week. If you guys want to hear, I considered it one of my better podcasts of all time. So check it out if you get a chance.
One quick story about him, a personal one. So I am going to toot my own horn now. When doing The Burn with Jeff Ross, which was like a roast show on Comedy Central, he had been fired by Aflac. He was the voiceover, and I think it was an inappropriate tweet. Was it about the Japanese disaster, the tsunami? I think it was.
So, yeah.
And so
it was in 2011.
He was canceled. He was literally canceled and fired by Aflac for that tweet. And so I remember oh my God, why don't we hire him as our voiceover for the show? And so we did. And I thought it was a great idea. So we did. So anyway, this is how it would go. We would have the guests that week in the show. So every, let's say, Thursday morning, I had a scheduled a scheduled ISDN call, which is a high quality audio call with a recording house in New York. And he would go to the voiceover studio in New York, and we would do that. So here's how the first one went. And it went this way every single week. But the first one, so you know this because you were a friend of his. He is an incredibly soft-spoken guy.
Yeah.
Actually, like when you're talking to him just among friends. So he'd come in and he's like, "Okay, so who are the guests?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." I go, I could barely hear him. So we're in New York and we're ingesting this audio into our Avid Bay. So we turn up the levels a lot. And he's like, "So it's Amy Schumer, it's Dave Attell." And he's like, "Okay, yes." And he reads through, he's like, And he's like, "Okay, I think I got it. We're like, "All right." And Gilbert, I think, it's like, The Burn with Jeff Ross, and I guess really hammer the burn, but whatever, typical VO instructions. So he's like, okay. So we turn up all the levels. All of a sudden he's like, "Tonight!" And it was like, It blew out. It blew out the whole room. The avid guy jumped about 5 feet in the air.
That's great.
And I had to rip the headphones out of my head. But you forget, it's like, it seems like this, that voice was so goddamn strong and a true, like, honed instrument.
Yeah.
And he was saving it. It was like, I'm not going to play my horn. Like, I'm not a rehearsal player. Like, well, just tell me when you're rolling and you'll hear it.
Right.
It was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was really
That's amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, let's cheer up with some funnies.
Oh, God. Here we go.
All right, in Hagar the Horrible, which if you don't read the Sunday papers, they're designed for the whole family. Kids can tune in, and it's kind of an entree into reading the newspaper for small children. So in this one, there's a king and a queen, and they're laying in bed, and the king goes, I can't seem to fall asleep. And the queen says, with wide eyes, me neither. Cut to barbarians coming in the window with their dicks out. We couldn't sleep either.
And they're laughing.
The
two guys, there's, all right, on the left window, there's Hagar and then some little flunky on the ladder with him. In the right window, it's 3 guys, and the 3 guys are laughing.
Because rape's funny in the medieval times.
Yeah. All right. No sleeping that night.
All right, in the Lockhorns, Leroy's getting out of the bed. He looks a little hungover and unshaven. Loretta looks at him and she goes, if I were you, I'd sneak up on the mirror.
That's a good one. I thought, she's putting on her robe. You could see her nightgown underneath. I thought there was going to be some reference to last night's performance or something.
Yeah. Then another one, she's carrying the laundry and she goes, you're not losing weight, Leroy. The elastic in your underwear is wearing out.
Solid.
And here's one that's super corny, but I had to put it in. They just finished eating dinner. She's clearing the dishes, and he goes, that pasta was worth every penny. Come on. Why not? Why not?
I don't really know what it means, but yeah, a lot of wordplay.
Worth every penny.
You're not going to get me. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But okay, so what does it mean? Other than he found wordplay.
It's just wordplay.
There you go. All right, Family Circus. Boy, I wish this had wordplay in it, or any play, or any funny words at all. I'm not even going to spend time on it. They're leaving. It says Art Museum. As most museums will say, the sign says Art Museum. And they're all leaving it. It's the 3 little kids in the front, mom carrying the baby. And it looks like the dad is talking. They all look very unhappy. Maybe the baby's crying. The mom really looks pissed. And the dad goes, we'll do the remaining 12 centuries another day.
Oh.
Like what? Just what? Honestly, just what?
Yeah, that just makes me sad for everybody.
They could have had so much fun with it's a human... The human body's beautiful. Of course his genital, of course he's not going to have underwear on or
yeah.
I mean, that sucks too. But you could have done something that maybe turned the family off.
Why were the French ones all blurry? Something.
Yeah.
Something.
Right. Or the go-to that the kids think they can do abstract art. Something, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Like, we paid to see that? Our refrigerator had blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, this is a Blondie cartoon, and he is sitting in his blue chair with his paper over his face while his gorgeous wife sits facing away from him, which I at least respect her for that. She goes,
it's a very odd
honey,
living room setup.
Honey, do you ever wish you had proposed to that attractive Margot Bardot, instead of me? And he goes, Margot was not attractive, dear. Second frame, he looks up from the paper and goes, Margot Bardot was stunning.
Oh, boy.
And then he goes, sweetheart, darling, for what it's worth, I'm reading the comics and thought that would be a funny response. And she goes, better stick to sports, dear.
Oh, water sports with Margot.
I got to tell you, knowing his track record with getting women, Margot Bardot probably is fucking stunning. I need to see a pic. I looked on Facebook, and I didn't see a Margot Bardot.
This guy is a killer with the ladies. Let's face it. And that he could say that and keep her in the house. How about that?
It's like every douchebag guy I've known with the leather jacket and the motorcycle that treats women poorly and they flock to him. He's the opposite. He's the opposite of a guy on a motorcycle, but he's got the same power on broken women. Blondie's a broken woman. Something terrible happened in her childhood.
Finally, you admit it. Finally.
It's not easy for me, but speaking of
That's
Blondie.
why she needs all that attention. She's empty inside.
Yep.
And, a psychologically healthy woman doesn't wear sweaters like that.
No, definitely not.
They're not taking they're not showing off their body all the time like that with the legs and the heels.
And the workouts she must do to keep her body in that shape. They never show Blondie working out, but she's got to be doing CrossFit and ellipticals and yoga.
She's a narcissist. Come on.
George.
Damage on the inside. She doesn't think she's beautiful. That's why she always has to dress up.
Right. She thinks she's not worthy of fucking Dagwood Bumstead.
Yeah.
So George from Germany, who is not only a friend of the show, he's the guy that did the drawing that hangs normally over my shoulder on the background.
Oh yeah,
he did
I
our
can
logo.
Recognize the look here. Yeah.
GS Artworks. He did a very funny cartoon for my birthday. He did a Blondie cartoon, and in the first frame, it's me. And I said, I finally made it into comic strip because, as everybody knows, my fantasy is to become animated and go get a piece of Blondie. And the next frame is me going, and there's Blondie's house. The third frame is every comic book mail you've ever seen streaming out. And the last one is Hager. And he goes, you're too late. Popeye,
Boy, everybody
Snoopy,
got in.
Fucking Beetle Bailey. Even Garfield, Dilbert got a piece of her. But
Snoopy.
And the worst is Hager closed. He was the headliner.
Yeah, he got sloppy eighths or something like that.
He didn't care how beat up she was. He wanted in.
Even though this is just a pencil drawing and it's black and white, I'm seeing that shirt you're wearing is maroon.
Yes. But this is really well drawn. If you want to see it, it will be on the YouTube.
It really is. Like each one of those characters he kind of nailed.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Well, listen, say hi to Wheeler Walker for me.
Yes.
Enjoy Nashville.
I'm going to enjoy Nashville. I'm going to try to sneak in those museums. Maybe I'll stay another day in this city. You know what I did hear? Our good friends Zoe and Amber contacted me because they saw I posted something from here. And they're like, are you going to be there like Monday when we get there? I'm like, what? And I guess it's the Nashville Comedy Festival.
No kidding. Wow.
I didn't know there was one.
No, every city has a comedy festival now.
I mean, I can't stay. I got to work Monday, but I'll look into it. Maybe something starts Saturday night that I'd be wanting to go to. I don't know.
If you do come back on Sunday, Gail is having people over for Easter dinner. I think Tom is coming and
I always
a bunch
forget
of people.
It's Easter.
So let me know if you want to go.
Sounds good. I can kind of tell you I won't. But
you don't like Gail?
I don't like Jesus. No, I'm celebrating Passover. It seems like a conflict. Yeah.
All right.
I alternate years between Passover and Easter. I think that's the fair thing to do.
I used to have a joke in my act when I got married to Erin that, we have to celebrate Easter and Passover. So, because she's Jewish and I'm Irish Catholic. So usually in the morning we go to her family's house and we observe Easter. We observe Passover. And then we go to my family's house and we observe them passing out.
There you go.
And then that
about sums it up.
And then the variation on that joke was, and And then other years we go to my family's house first and we hide the Easter eggs, and then we go to her family's house and they try to hide their disappointment. Happy Easter, everybody. Mike,
That's
I'll
a
see
good
you
thing
later.
to end on. All right.
Midcoast Media, thank you for we got to thank Midcoast Media first.
Oh, sorry. Take it back.
Key and Chris and Beth doing a great job out there in St. Louis. Thanks for helping us out, and we'll see you next week.
And now take it easy.
Take it easy.
Sunday papers with Gibbons and Fitz. Sunday papers, forget about it. Forget those other news guys, you know they are the pits. Sunday papers, read all about it. Oh, Sunday papers with Gibbons and Fitz. Sunday papers, forget about it. If I catch you watching anything that ain't the Sunday papers, I will blow your brains all over the walls, and your mother won't stop crying until the day she dies, and you ain't gonna have an open casket funeral. You stool pigeon scumbag. Take it easy.